We're starting now. We're going to live.
Yeah,
Facebook.
we're going to start now, if that's all right.
Has it gone to? How do I know if it's gone to live now? Facebook Live.
Yeah. So,
Hang on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Nature Talks, where we are inviting inspiring speakers to come on our platform to bring a powerful voice for nature, one that really does need to be heard at this time. My name is Marguerite. I'm one of the directors of Fellowship of the Trees, CIC. We are a grassroots non-profit organisation aimed at reconnecting people with land and each other. And we're currently engaged in various projects, including ceremonial tree planting, bringing about and supporting community tree nurseries, and inspiring people to become tree guardians, where they can nurture trees from seed to be planted as part of our projects. So yeah, I must admit that doing a Facebook Live interview is particularly out of my personal comfort zone. But I feel that stepping out of our comfort zone to do something that's important is really, really worthwhile. And comparing my personal comfort zone to that of Indra's, in which she steps out of it on a daily basis to do what she believes in, is, yeah, there is absolutely no comparison. So yeah, to introduce our first speaker on these talks, Indra Donfrancesco. So I first met Indra when I went down to support the Stop Hs2 camp at Crackley Woods. I was really inspired to go down to take part in this cause, and I wanted to support in whatever way I could. And for me, that just meant trying to provide therapies to some of the activists who have been engaged in actions that have been causing great physical and emotional stress to them, and I just wanted to be there. And during my time at Crackley Woods, I was deeply humbled by the work of the activists there. I found them to be extremely courageous, and I witnessed incredible acts of ingenuity, strength, infrastructure being made to support the camp. And I was just completely humbled by the warrior spirit of the activists. So yeah, it's my incredible honor to introduce Indra Donfrancesco, who I personally feel is a very powerful warrioress and a voice for nature, an important voice at this time. So Indra, absolutely welcome to Nature Talks. It's so great to have you and connect with you. And yeah, I don't know if there's something you'd like to say to introduce yourselves more fully to our listeners, other than what I've already said.
Hello, Marguerite. Thank you so much. And yes, I remember your visit very well. In fact, you were the first bodywork healer to have turned up the entire time that we were there. In fact, the first and the last. So yeah, much gratitude to you too. Very needed. To say about myself, thank you. One is I feel like I need to put a little bit of disclaimer. I've just spent a week at camps. I went back to the HS2 camps, and I went to all the surviving camps with this exact thing in mind, the healers. So I'm actually a little tired, a little below par. So excuse me if I ramble. I'll try and speak slowly, but I'm so grateful to be here. This is something I'm passionate to talk about. So a little bit about myself is I have been, I suppose, part of the direct action and part of doing camps for about 30 years, just under 30 years. I have two amazing grown-up daughters, who one of them is is joining us on, who is at camps as well. So she's kind of, we work side by side, and that is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And that, I suppose this has been generational as well. My mother was the person that introduced me to camps, and so this is my life really, I suppose.
Yeah, your life's work. I mean, 30 years is such a long time to be dedicated as an activist, and it's really, really incredible and special that you have been doing that. So you mentioned about that you've been on a HS2 camp recently, supporting with the healers. I was wondering if you could just tell our listeners a little bit more about these causes that you're involved in, and what they represent. So could you tell us a little bit about,
Yes, so this is what you call government infrastructure projects, as in, so it's this, I'm at the Stonehenge camp now, but I'll talk about that a bit more later maybe. So it's the same kind of reason, and it's the same as the very first road protests, I say first as in the 90s. So they were government infrastructure projects under the same government, under the Tory government. And the reason they are pushed through is because, well, a few reasons, but mainly because they are pushed through because they are seen as national importance. So basically that means they can take any protections off any site. They can also take your home, they can take your land, they can take your business. It's called compulsory purchase orders. Over 250,000 people, this is on HS2, are having their homes, their land, their businesses taken. So that's compulsory purchases. And when they're compulsory purchase, it means they have to sign a waiver to say they can't talk about it. They are offered a nominal fee for their life's work, their generational home. These are amazing places. So this is the people story, and the people story is only coming out now. I think it came out last week that people have been messed about, and that HS2 were found to be dealing with things badly, basically. Sorry, when I usually talk about this, I swear a lot. So I'm actually looking for other words in a sentence that aren't they have been very naughty, and so it's just come out in the press basically that they have been treating people amazingly badly. For us, also, the reason we are there and have been there, I went to HS2 land just before the first lockdown, so that's last March. In fact, March the 20th. And it was just the first, the evictions hadn't happened yet. The woodlands were still up. People were just starting to build tree houses. And the other thing about taking the protections off with the government infrastructure project is these are things that you couldn't even put up a greenhouse in your garden in some of these places because of the conservation areas, because they are triple SSIs, so sites of special scientific interest, which are the highest protection in the land for any ecology, for nature. It's because they are important. They're an ecosystem in themselves, or they have habitat for a species that can only live in that environment. So it's not just because they're pretty. They are a special scientific. Also, ancient woodlands. Ancient woodlands, as we know, holds so much diversity that you cannot that you cannot just plant trees and expect it to grow back, have the same. So this is how HS2 got away with it as well. So just to I'm just trying to emphasize how they can totally play fast and loose with our land, with habitat, with heritage, ancient monuments. So where I am now at Stonehenge, this is a World Heritage Site. And World Heritage Site because it's unspoiled, largest grassland, open grassland in Europe. It'll probably, and the Council for UNESCO have said it most likely actually lose its protections, which means Avebury loses it as well because it's held under the same.
Wow.
And it takes an awful lot to get a World Heritage Site. So yes, this is what government infrastructure projects do. And it's really funny because this was part of the road campaign in the 90s. I was part of that. It was amazing. It was an amazing lesson for me. I was obviously my early 20s. So that's why it's really interesting actually being with a lot of young people now, because it's like, doesn't matter how daft they get or how, you know, how sideways they go. It's like, yeah, I did that. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a lot more compassionate. So yes, in the 90s with government infrastructure projects, and they wanted to cut through. I think there was something like 300 projects, and I believe only a minute fraction of those actually got done. There were 15 road campaigns that, to my knowledge, and that I was part of. And it's like each area is a battle, and you throw everything at it, and you live on that site, and you get to know that site, and you do the outreach, and the people who live there, come in, and direct action is really to my knowledge, to my mind, it should be the first port of call. But unfortunately, it's always the last port of call, and we're always catching, trying to chase our tails. So what happened in the 90s is the momentum grew. So we grew from a handful of people at Twyford Down in Winchester to it becoming acceptable. And this isn't a time where climate change wasn't it wasn't something you discussed over the kitchen table. But after many road campaigns and many voices about diversity, about ecological breakdown, about land rights, it then started becoming talked about. And by the time we reached Newbury, which I think was in 96, so Newbury bypass, thousands came, and it's a critical mass, and the critical mass is what did it. And it stopped all the other road building programs. So as I tell people here, at Hs2, it's been a year. We've only been doing this a year. The first year of road protest, it was painful. It was shonky getting stuff out, but we know a lot more now, and people know about ecological breakdown. People know that, hey, we need trees to breathe, and also that sentient beings, and that all creatures are equal. And we've come a long way. We've come so far. So yes, this is what I'm working on now is Hs2 and Stonehenge. But yeah, both government infrastructure projects. Can I rant a little bit?
Yes, ranting is welcome.
Great. So why are we here? Not metaphysically. So we're in this state because Conservative government, their thing is growth. We are, and this is why a lot of us believe Hs2. So this is, sorry, I'll explain a bit more. Hs2 is a train line, but it's not really a train, that goes from London to Birmingham Airport. There are no stops along the way. It goes through 108 ancient woodlands. I think that's coming later, which will probably explain more. So yeah, I won't trash it, and over 250,000 people being displaced. So we are in a recession. Okay, we've been in a recession because the first Tory government back in the 90s took the restrictions off the banks. The banks played, loose with our money and gambled it away pretty gosh damn much. So stupid white men gambled our money away. And now we're in this recession. And the recession is, so the way that Tories deal with recessions is to throw money at it and quantitative easing and all these things. And and also with the lockdown, we are in a crisis. How they get out of crisis is to build things, is to money. The only thing this country does really without having to outsource too much is construction. You know, 15% of people working construction. We have the industry, we have the know-how, we have the manufacturers, we have the machines, we have the quarries, we have the lorries, we have the security. So it was something that they can throw money at. So it was to keep the economy going. And pretty much, you know, the money minister has pretty much said as much. The reason this is going ahead is because we need to keep the economy going. Now, this is where we come in, okay? Because now our planet is paying for their debt. It's like it's like having, you know, a parent who has gambled all your pennies away and is now, you know, selling everything in the house to pretty much pay for that debt. So nature is paying. Mother Nature is paying for stupid white man's debt. Okay, and this is the maddening fact, and this is the kind of what we need to, the message we need to kind of get out is this is not being built because it's needed. It's not being built because we need a super fast train that goes from London to Birmingham Airport that none of us will use. So this is why we're in this mess. This is why, and it's the same for roads. People say why, you know, well, roads are needed. Another latest report that's come out is that we haven't actually exponentially changed our driving habits, except for over lockdown. Actually, lots of people are working from home. The reason why there is now a whole new, so that the Conservatives are bringing back the road building programs that they abandoned in the 90s, expense and all that, and also because people were getting to know about it. So now it's back on the table, and Stonehenge is one of the first ones to be kind of pushed. So it's that's the political bit. Obviously the environmental bit, and you know, the critical times, and it seems every generation, you know, thinks that they are the most remarkable, yet ours might just be the first to turn out right. I mean, to say that this century is the most crucial our species has ever faced is actually an understatement. You know, we're dealing with the most significant crisis of life in general has faced in our billion years of evolution. So I have no qualms in doing direct action, standing in front of machines until they stop is what we can do.
It's extremely powerful words, Indra. And you know, I mean, we are talking about living in times when the government themselves have declared a climate emergency, and yet you know, we're talking about destroying the last of Britain's ancient woodlands. And not only that, it's like destroying a World Heritage Site that is celebrated by different spiritual traditions, and has done for, you know, for a lifetime. And it's it's very important causes. So I'd actually be really interested to find out what is the average day of an activist like for you guys. I mean, can you share more about some of the experiences that you have as an activist on the camps?
Gosh, I wish there was an average day. So it's like my journey, I just quickly put this in. So my journey to from Stonehenge camp to start the Hs2 camps. On my journey, I had a phone call from an action that was happening in London where the court support fell through. So I was having to do court support in the car while sorting out transport for the next thing going, while sorting out, somebody had a meltdown. There's a lot of sort of mediation stuff that comes on, and also what is it? Oh, trying to get some power for the next camp. So it's like there is never ever anything that happens according to plan. In fact, not having a plan is better. I love plans. I love the old saying as well that every good plan fails at the first sight of the enemy, and that could be anywhere. So an average day. So if I'm here, I live in a caravan on the Stonehenge site. I lived a whole year last year in a tent, in 3 different tents, kind of going kind of slightly upwards. So my last one was a lovely bell tent, but still never again. So now I'm in a caravan. So I wake up early. So let's say I would wake up at Crackly. So let's take us back to HS2. I'd wake up at Crackly. I have my dog. I would wake up when the sun comes up. So maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe 5:30, just before sun up. It's light. The birds are singing. There's a cacophony going on around you. It's beautiful and deafening. So I wake up and I'm up and I'm out into the woods with my dog. It's a great way. There's a beautiful stream I cross. I say hello to everything and I see if there's any changes, as in the anemones might be out, or the different after the wild garlic comes the bluebells, the different different state, just noticing everything. Also, I like to get up that early because it's before the machines start working. The worst thing is to wake up to the machines behind you, to the chainsaws, to the rumble of the diggers. And then once I've gone for a little bit of a walk with the dog, I'll come back and I'll get we had a tea urn. It was beautiful. I had a little tea urn. I'd fill the tea urn and get it going, and I'd have my first cup of tea and watch the sunrise, or sit in the sunny bit and just sit there in the quiet, because that's the only quiet throughout the entire day. And it was mine, and it was beautiful. People would slowly get up. There would be at least, they would count like 3 crises even before breakfast. So there'd be like an emotional crisis with somebody. Through the gates of the camp, there would be, you bring everything, you bring everything from the outdoors, and protest camps seem to amplify. So whatever you bring with you, because you have to deal with your stuff really quickly, because you're with people and you're dealing with something outside of yourself, which is important. So whatever traumas people bring with them. So there'd be an emotional crisis always. Somebody triggered by something, somebody hadn't, slept well, somebody really needed something that was outside of our resources. There would be some kind of infrastructure meltdown. One of the buildings had fallen over. It had rained so much that the shed roof had kind of leaked, or there would be some kind of infrastructure thing. And there'd be a plan. Someone would always come up with a plan, to do something. So if it was a Monday, we would go and do a little gate blockade just up on the construction site. So there were like 3 gates where we were. And they were nice and easy, and they're great for new people. I was on what you call a safe camp, as in it was the place where a lot of people came to start off with, mainly because because the landowner that owned the land, who had been severely messed around by HS2, had her land stolen. We were on the last bit of it, and trying to save the rest of it. And so there'd always be a plan. So there'd always be somebody hyped up and going, right, let's do this. And it's like, okay, right, we've got to, make sure there's support, make sure there's training. And so we might do a little action in the morning, fix infrastructure, have breakfast. 11 o'clock, we'd all get together. We called it a check-in. This was just on our camps. A lot of camps were different, but a lot of other camps took the structure of our camp. So 11 o'clock we'd have the check-in. I would usually facilitate, but it was nice to share. And that's where we would go around, see who was there, see if anyone was leaving that day, if anyone new was coming, and also who was doing what. So what are we doing today? Cooking, washing up. People came from, different backgrounds. different privileged backgrounds, different completely nothing backgrounds. So it was, yeah, it was a huge melting pot. So yeah, and we'd do a little check-in also, see how everyone is. And sometimes it'd be like one word, what vegetable do you feel like today? You know, and just get a sense and build the community through that. So it was that. 11, that would take us till 12, and that was finding out what we're doing. Sometimes I would, if there were new people, I would do an induction. So induction about the campaign, and also find out their skills, where they want to be. We would be ordering equipment. We'd be doing part of a fundraiser, so I might do, oh God, I had the awful task of being the administrator on the funding. Never again. Money messes everything. Yeah, and just basically trying to keep the calm on the site, and just be so welcoming. And because everyone that came through those gates, you know, that 3 people might turn up that day, and yeah, it's kind of like you just do a quick assess, don't you? It's kind of like where they're at, where they're comfortable. So you're just constantly dealing with people all day in their different levels of everything. And yeah, some of it's beautiful, some of it's traumatic, but you're just constantly having to be there and to be present, and to, because everything is changing around you. So it's kind of like I'd stay constant. Maybe we'd have to fix the solar. So finding people to fix the solar. I mean, to be honest, you know, by lunchtime I'd be exhausted just in the days. People, things, fixing things, also making sure there were lots of people doing different things, so it wasn't always the same people. And you know, whinge, but there's a lot of freaking amazing women coming through, okay, and doing the work and coming forward, and just yeah. So I didn't, yeah, personal time wasn't always a thing. So yeah, some of them we might go out and do an action. We might go and so one might be planned for elsewhere. So there were like maybe 3 satellite camps that we'd have to make sure that if people wanted to swap out, so there wasn't like 2 people left up there for days, that they were supported, that they had food, that they had what they needed. And then I don't know, I might do a bat walk in the evening, might do a reconnaissance. A bat walk there was a woodland, Broadwells. There was like 3 species of bat, 6,000 bats when they did anyway, which, yeah, the bat mitigation said, oh, there's no bats there, and there were bats. There were thousands of bats. So yeah, environmental work.
Yeah, so you're talking about an incredibly diverse job to fulfill as being part of the camp, you know, just holding people through their emotional process, and yeah, certainly that was what my observations were when I came to visit the camp, is that some of these really bright, beautiful, courageous, intelligent activists, you know, they're experiencing traumatic experiences on a you know, up through trying to protect this and campaign for this cause. You know, they're having traumatic experiences on a level that the camp is being attacked, you know, on a day-to-day basis, and through actions, the experiences that they might have with the Met. I really witnessed you know, some upsetting scenes, really, and that was one thing that I really and that's something I really admired about you, Indra, because, you know, in the face of trauma and activists' sense of safety being shattered, you know, I really witnessed you as a light and a nurturing or maternal energy that was holding the activists. But yeah, you know, exactly what you said as well. My experience was there. It was fascinating to meet all the ecologists and yeah, and the surveying of the land and the ecological work that was going on, but also the strategies that needed to take place with the different actions. It was, I would certainly echo that. I witnessed how complex and the running of the camp is, and also the building of the community, as you said, by bringing people together, making sure they felt heard, and then they're informed about what's going on, and the meetings and the check-ins, really is incredible. So I was just wondering, what would you like to say to the general public right now about how they can help and support the camps and these causes?
It's how we can, oh wow, it's how we can help them, to be honest. The young people that come through camps change in such a beautiful way. So young people come through the camp. It's not just young people, anyone, but it noticed more, I suppose. They would come and they wouldn't do it like that was the culture. It was because actually that's how they felt. They shed everything, their clothes, their name, even sometimes their gender, their lives beforehand, everything. They shook off. I would say actually the young, because there is something, the young people, there is nothing to trust, okay? They've shed it all. And they walk barefoot, and we called it a rewilding, an unfurling of themselves, a finding of themselves, an acknowledgement, and just being in a healthy way where we would have new systems, I suppose, where they could communicate on such a deeper level. Most people that found the camps are because they knew something was wrong in life. Something is wrong. And so it's not just about fighting the machines. It's also about reclaiming ourselves, rewilding ourselves. And to see this, to witness this, I mean, the amount of depression that's around, especially in young people, anyone who's feeling this, come to camp. Just come to, this is what I'd say to people, is please, they're not scary places. They are incredibly welcoming. They've been a bit scary because so low people on the ground, and the burnout that happens, and we're a bit sketchy. But these places, it's like opening portals. It's like opening spaces for conversations. There are so many up and down the country. So obviously the HS2 has been, the London to Birmingham side. There is now wanting to do phase 2, which is the north. So anyone in the north, find out the route. Yeah, go visit a camp, become part of that community. Obviously there's financial stuff. Everyone, each camp will have its own fundraiser. So if financial is something you can do. Sorry, my dog's going a bit potty. He's found a fly. Okay, he's good for some. To find out what's going on. And the worst thing is I think, oh my word, it hits on our guilt. So many people, I mean, Extinction Rebellion, fantastic, burst into the scene a couple of years ago. And direct action was a thing, and then suddenly it was like, no, I'm so, they can't do any more, or they can't about that. And then it's this guilt, oh, I haven't done anything, oh, I'm watching it, and it's worse. I'd like to show a video actually quite soon about this is one of my first live streams, and it's of an oak tree that had been sat. Oh my gosh, it was possibly one of the most terrifying few weeks of my entire life. Just on lockdown, people I'd come with to do the training sessions at HS2 suddenly all went up a tree. That area got cordoned off. They were all stuck up the tree. I mean, they had stuff, they had knowledge, they were good climbers. We couldn't get to them. They were starved out of those trees. To not be able to do anything, our guilt, our feeling of totally being dispossessed, this is what they do to us. Okay, the feeling that we can do nothing, that we are not in control. of even our own lives. And it's like, oh, I've got my mortgage, I have my job, I have my children, you know, and they threaten us with these things that they have caged us with. And it doesn't have to be like that. It really doesn't. And this is why it's like the arrest, you know, stepping outside of your comfort zone. Like you said, you step outside of your comfort zone and you realize you don't just disappear. You know, you don't get arrested and get locked up. You don't get beaten up. You don't get arresting doesn't mean you lose your job. I'm so not saying everyone should get arrested. Being arrested is not what it's not what we're about. We're trying to avoid it. But so many people stepped over those lines and went, oh my crying out, you know, they became themselves. And I know there's this guilt, and I don't want to push people into it, but just like, you can unfurl in more ways, and they are more scared of us, of normal people. When I say normal, you know, not us, people stepping out together with solidarity and saying no. You know, this is in every wake of life. We can do this. We have to do this. This is our last. This is great. Everything else has been a rehearsal. This is us. We're stepping up. You know, oh my gosh, we have the whole of history to back us. So come to these places, rewild yourself, step through that portal. You know. Anyway, let's show this video if that's okay.
Yeah.
So this was my first, this is my first real live thingy video thing, and this was the tree that these beautiful people had sat and been starved out of and lasted 12 days, and this was actually the kickoff of the
So here we are at Crackley Wood Protection Camp. This is the last standing oak in this line that was a wildlife corridor that was connecting up the ancient woodlands, the ancient forest of Arden. This is a break in that corridor. So this is the last oak on...
The world is watching you right now. You're all on film. I hope you're smiling, because we're not.
So this is where we held them off for 9 days. We had tree houses in this little piece of woodland. There was a badger sect at the bottom, and this is where bats were roosting as well. And we were monitoring and keeping hold. I'm really sorry to be showing this to people at home, because I know how difficult it is to sit here, to sit where you are and to watch this. And you know, we've been showing films for a while, showing us, but this is a 200-year-old, 150 to 200-year-old oak tree that was standing really proud in the middle of Crackley Woods, this ancient corridor that used to ferry the foxes and the badgers, be home to bats roosting, birds, woodpeckers, owls. Here we've got some of the protectors that can't hold back. Most of us have bail conditions not to enter sites, but there is very little, as I'm sure you will know, sitting there where you are, to be able to just wait for this to happen during this climate emergency, during this ecological emergency, and knowing how important trees are, knowing how important ancient woodlands are, not just to us, but to the ecosystems that they support. And you can't replant an ancient woodland, and it won't be seen in our lifetime. This is what our government are doing and what they deem as essential works. So as you can see, because there are people on the fences, even just by sitting there, they've had to stop work, because it means there are people that are on a site, they're not wearing protective clothing.
You will all be held accountable. You are all willingly participating in crimes against humanity. That is all of us.
So, because the people in black just in front of me, they're the National Eviction Team, and they are here specifically to keep us back. They have, by the Secretary of State and Her Majesty being given the powers of arrest and the powers to hold us. They were also given the okay to be hands-on. So I don't know if people saw the videos from the last couple of days where there was 3-4 of them landing on top of us. There are injuries on camp that are being dealt with by this team. We've been here maybe 6 weeks. We have been in this part of the woodland. There are 5 woodlands here. 108 woodlands in all are wanting to be felled by HS2. So as I say, most of us who are here, a handful of us, we've all been bailed off site. So our bail conditions are not to enter. Obviously people have been breaking their bail because they can not. This is our side of the fence. I'm fielding from, our camp is a safe camp. It's not on HS2 land. I think I might just fucking scream into the microphone. No, please don't. It just doesn't do well. Thank you everyone who's watching now. And just to know, I'm really sorry to be showing this because it is, to you people, to us, it is an abhorrent thing to watch. But if the very least we can do is to watch, is to witness, and to not forget that this is what is happening. It's happening all over the world, but this is our Amazon. This is 108 ancient woodlands, not just woodlands. There are many, many woodlands, many habitats that are on the track of this super high-speed railway. This railway that's not a railway, it's not a train. This is something that is going from London to Birmingham and to an airport. The amount of cement and hardcore they will be dropping into this land and underneath. In Uxbridge, they will be, they've already started to pour cement in the aquifers, which is 22% of London's fresh water. The amount of cement that will be going into the aquifers alone go against any kind of ecological agreements. So this machine, so he's just taking a block out of it so that it falls with a chainsaw, and then this is a tree grabber. And as I said, I'm sorry you're seeing this at home, but just by watching and by sharing. Please share this.
Shame on all of you!
Please watch this and please share this. We have
Wow, just very, very unsettling scenes there. For me, it's I just can't understand it. I just can't understand it. But I mean, thank you so much for sharing that, Indra. It was, I could really feel your power coming through on that, and it's just tragic to witness just the lack of consciousness around something so sacred. I mean, those are my feelings around it, and it must be even more unsettling for those of you that are there witnessing it as it happens.
I hope I never get used to it. I hope I never stop feeling it. I think that is part of it. You know, we can burn out. I've burnt out a few times. You can't not feel it. This brings me, I think, to, I mean, there's much work being in trees, being in woodlands, especially ones that are going, are going to be felled. There's 3 of you, or, there's just not, it is. Trees know that there are. It was the same at Newbury. The more I worked with trees, the more I was with trees, the language of trees, the language of and trees know, you know, they send messages to each other. If there's a whole load of felling going on with its siblings down the way, they know it's coming. And there's an incredible power, you know, there's an incredible language happening with them. And I think at the moment, this is just the way I deal with it. There's a lot of sacrificing going on right now in order that people, I don't want to say wake up, that just sounds ridiculous, but in order that people start feeling and start communicating and start being and start realizing the sentience of this planet. You know, the children's fire, every single creature, every single critter is equal. And I think this is by seeing things like that and knowing that it is, you know, multiply it by probably its millions, okay? And it's huge. But we feel it. We need to feel it. We need to carry on feeling it. Have I got time to talk about Stonehenge very quickly?
Yes, of course, yeah.
All right. So, right, Stonehenge. So I was prepared. I was at Hs2. Nothing would pull me away from that line, except I heard that the government had agreed for an 8-mile expressway past Stonehenge and a 2-mile tunnel. Technicality, so 8 miles, 75 meter wide, going through ancient monument. Well, obviously Stonehenge is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and also Neolithic burial grounds, early Bronze Age burial grounds, Beaker people, and an ancient spring. We're talking Mesolithic, like the earliest possible place where people settled, and most likely the reason why Stonehenge, just why Stonehenge, you know, everyone has their own reasons. This is a beacon. This place is a beacon. I've worked here. I've been here since early December. I've had the privilege, the utter privilege to be here. And I just want to say, at my age, it's great. I mean, I can do frontline. I now have 2 buggered shoulders, a bust rib, and my hips don't like me anymore. So it's actually wonderful to be here, and I'm feeling that through my life's journey, I've been around the West Country, I've been around Stonehenge. Stonehenge I've always revered as the most, you know, in my mind. Doesn't matter, everyone else thinks of it differently. For me, it is, you know, for me, it is something that has been so sacred for thousands of generations, for thousands of years backwards. And this to me typifies what is wrong. And so here we must stand. Here, we are standing here. This is where it started. This is where they started kicking off the people, the Romans with the pagans and the Druids, and the first battles of the whole patriarchal way of life and enclosures. This is the new enclosures. Roads are the new enclosures, okay, where they steal land, they separate bits of land, they run lines down it, and the amount of pollution and roadkill and land and the whole oil industry, the whole car industry, I realized is my windmill. You know, I'm Don Quixote, that is my windmill, and that is my battle, okay? The wildlife loss here, yeah, I can't, ground nesting birds, protected areas, nature. So it has been my utter privilege to be here. And I feel like I've kind of accumulated all the knowledge I have gained for the last 30 years, whatever, and it's here. And I feel settled here, because here we're going to hold safe, and we're going to hold firm. And if anyone has any feelings about our world, our planet, our country, our land, you know, I urge people, yeah, to stand here and have this as a beacon, because Stonehenge is known all over the world. You know, this is a World Heritage Site, but this is also our spiritual center. This is going to kick off and to take a stand. And we're going to be here solstice. We've got an open camp from the 18th, and we invite everyone to come, even just drop in. And we're not asking people to stand in front of machines. We're not, you know, people do whatever they feel they can do. but it's to take a stand. You know, in Australia, the Bentley effect, where 1,000 people just literally stood there and they could do nothing. Okay, it's a critical mass of people. So yeah, Stonehenge is the biggest travesty. I feel like sometimes if I talk about it, I will explode, and being quite tired. But this is everything that we ever have been, and everything that has ever been taken away from us. So I am glad and privileged to be here, and I feel completely in my center. And this is a place of power, and that gives power and has shared power and has people, 140 burial mounds just in the land itself. And we're not just talking a tunnel here where they're going to cut and cover and borehole down, losing 500,000. They'll be getting treasure out of it, but 500,000 artifacts will be lost, artifacts, bodies.
Wow.
And and also there is at the other end of this route, which goes into two massive roundabouts with a tunnel going underneath, a different tunnel, and a flyover going over round the end village. I mean, and you won't be able to see Stonehenge. Stonehenge will now not have a free vision. Okay, there will be no.
Oh my God.
And yeah, people do slow down. Hey, people slow down because they want to see it. It's the reason you go on the 303, you know. So yeah, English Heritage get 20 quid per person. They get 500,000 visitors. It's their biggest cash cow. And we say to them, Stonehenge is not a museum. Stonehenge is a living temple. And we're going to reclaim our temple. We've done a few trespasses. I mean, that doesn't reclaim the temple. We need to do the entire land. No one is free until we are all free.
And this for me, Indra, is why it was so important for me to have you on as our first speaker, especially especially talking about the term sacred activism. For me, sacred activism as a concept has changed my life and how I view things. It's first termed by the author Andrew Harvey, which it's meant to mean that whatever cause in the world stirs your soul and really brings up that need to change, you can turn that into compassionate action. And for me, that's entirely what you embody, Indra, as a sacred activist, is that your love for the planet and the sentience of the trees and the people that live on this earth who need to breathe the oxygen that the trees are providing us, but also, the protection of our sacred sites, our sacred heritage. And I mean, that's why I wanted to call the talk Sacred Activism, and that's for me what I witness in you, Indra. So and we as the Fellowship of the Trees as an organisation are very much concerned with keeping this at our forefront of our consciousness, that all life is sacred, all life is important, and therefore. Although we're very diverse as an organisation, I mean, for me personally, it's very much about keeping a practice that embodies the sacred and allows me to practice my spirituality. I was really interested because I know that you've done some work with the Glastonbury Goddess Temple and doing this course, the Goddess Luminary Wheel. And when I saw that you were doing that, I really liked that because it felt to me that you were doing a lot of personal, professional, and spiritual development on yourself. And I think that doing professional development and personal development when we're doing any kind of activism or any kind of work involving people or causes is extremely important. And I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that, your work. Goddess Temple in Glastonbury.
Perfect, thank you. And that's a really lovely description. Thank you. Sacred activism. I've not that description you said. That's brilliant. I love it. I might have to yeah, get that off you in the end. But yeah, that's completely right. I totally do. So yes, I was brought up in around Glastonbury, and the goddess movement started, gosh, maybe a couple of years before I moved back, so maybe 7 years. It's mainly, so if you think, it came out a lot from women who were green and common. So it came from a really kind of feminism, but feminism that embodies activism and the planet. So it's, yeah. There was a course that was on, and I've always kind of floated around. They've always supported me. I've been in living Glastonbury most of my life, but yeah. So while I was at different campaigns, and I've campaigned in Glastonbury itself, which is phenomenally fun. You know, we've got a totally green council now. I was brought up with total Tories. It's great. Anyway, so there's something really energetic and really changing in Glastonbury at the moment, and quite proactive, which is nice, and lots of amazing people there who are incredibly supportive. So anyway, so the goddess and was open to men as well. It's divine feminine, divine masculine. It's a balance that needs to have, and it's in all of us. This course was about leadership, but feminine leadership. So I think its full title is, it's like a luminary, and it's so non-patriarchal leadership in non-hierarchical patriarchal systems. Meh. And it was, yeah, a 2-year, and it was mainly with, so it's the first time it was put on, the most amazing tutor, Lynn Sedgemore, who has such a grounding and such an amazing backwork, and a mixture of the kind of goddess feminist, total feminist, northern, loud, you know, grounded. She was just great. Anyway, so I turned up first time, and it was like they were going around the circle, and it was all very done. So everything was done with kind of ceremony in mind, which is beautiful. It was going around, and I just suddenly thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And the first thing I said in that circle was, I'm an anarchist, and I'm having a problem with the word leadership. And there was wonderful laughter, because it was like, yeah, that's fine. And that's what it was about, pretty much. How it was how to basically doing work on ourselves to be okay, to lead ourselves, and also to look and to bring up other leaders, so to nurture. So it's about being leaderful, about all of us in our capacity, in our everything, in our home, in our work, in our life, in our joy, is how to actually lead that in an authentic way, in authentic, grounded, honest way, and to bring that forward, and to have that voice, and for it to be okay. And it's mad, you know, when you say, for women especially, this has not been the case. We're not brought up like this, you know, the silence, the downplay, even the words, you know, linguistics, how it works, you know, women are bossy, but men are boss. And this isn't an anti-male thing. This is an non-patriarchal. And where the spiritual came in, it was the archetypes. The archetypes of the goddesses. And this is every kind of, you know, from the Celtic to the Egyptian to, and these are things throughout age, and including here at Stonehenge, it would have been the same, you know. Different archetypes, we embody different at different times, you know. I went through a real Kali time, you know. I went 3 years in Brighton, total black bloc anarchist, smash everything, smash the state. I don't think I could actually coherently give a sentence. It was just loads of swearing and shouting and screaming, you know. Total fire. You know, my Morgan, I'm a kind of deep dark cauldron, Morgan, you know, the Caradwens, you know, it's owning stuff inside of ourselves. And that was beautiful, and that's what it taught us. But also the wheel, and the moon phases, and working in the moon phases. Here it's been such an amazing connection. So every 2 weeks we do either a new moon or a full moon. We do ceremonies. We go out to all the barrows. So each time we'll think, which barrow would like us today? And we go off, we take ourselves to a barrow, and we introduce ourselves, we have a little ceremony. It's only right. We've come to their area. They've been here thousands of years. It'd be rude if we did, introduce ourselves and just have a little chat. They're lovely. Old warrior spirits are here. So it was an amazing, affirming, and also the community working with these people and their work and seeing their work. And it was, I suppose, sacred activism. And I always had a bit of a thing with sacred activism because it was more sacred than activism. But this is doing the work, and it's the personal work as well, like you said. On a kind of, we did a lot of so looking at different systems. So obviously how different governance works, how power works. So there's power over, power through, surreptitious power. So this is we do a kind of power with. So it's how to bring up everyone. And this was so important. Oh my gosh. It was like I did the course and then suddenly, HS2 was the practical application. It was,
wow.
Oh yeah, totally. It was like the young people was like, oh yeah, I know this one. And it was, just assisting them, even sometimes just by saying nothing, just smiling was enough for them to go, okay, we'll do that then, because before it's, the freedom of it. So it was immensely important. I think it's, they're still running the courses. And it was incredibly progressive. I think it was a brand new, course that was brought up. And what I have noticed, and I said this earlier, was actually about the divine feminine, the female, the warrior female coming through. Oh my gosh, this is what kept me as well. I say kept me as in I could not leave Brackley because of the people that were coming through, the young folk. And yes, it is an unsafe environment, and not just from HS2, predators, substance misuse, people, the damage that sometimes come through those gates is like, right, we are going to have a culture, a strong culture here, and it's going to be, come from a place of respect and learning. And I think the young people really appreciated that and gave them a good grounding. But this course gave me words to things that should just be normal. So no, it's beautiful. I can't, and one of the people I was on the course with is here with me at Stonehenge.
All right.
Named Mama Bear. Yes. Yeah. Oh, completely. Oh no, this is, you can't do I've spent years doing the, even in the anarchist black bloc, I was a little bit, I was always the kind of hippie of the group, but doing the work now, so, kind of coming into menopause and, coming into myself, it's incredible. I'm actually really loving this time, to, it's almost like everything else was a practice, and it's like, oh, right, this is me now. And having a voice and having and being listened to. My gosh, it's really nice to be listened to.
It's so nice listening to you.
But and it was like after a while, it was like I would just kind of like get on in the background and stuff. And one day, actually, it's Acorn. They all have camp names. It's very cute and very confusing because they keep changing them. Little Acorn, because I'd always go to bed early and just leave them to it. But I'd say something and Acorn would go, shush, shush, she's saying things. Mama's saying wisdom now. And it was just like, oh, wow. Because people of generational, we just don't, we don't have our elders. We don't have, or listening to the youth either. It's just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, and all I can say is, thank the goddess, that there is beautiful, courageous women like yourself, Indra, that, are inspiring the younger generations and being that camp elder, to support and hold, and bridging your personal development and your awareness of the sacred into the camp, so that it is continuously flowing with that energy of, you know, yeah, the protection and, you know, preservation of the sacred is yeah, it's just so, yeah, you give me goosebumps, Indra, and yeah, yeah, I really honor you. I really honor you, sister. So just one final question before we move into the questions that other people might have for you. I was just wondering, you know, what are your hopes and dreams for our planet at this time? What are your hopes and dreams for the world that we're living in? Yeah, where would you, what does your heart really want for this world?
I need to plug in. What I want is solar. I'm just going to replug. Sorry, I've yes. So right, it's interesting. Hopes and dreams. See, I gave up hope a long time ago. I think hope is a funny one. Hope for me is a non-action. I don't hope. Sorry, can you see me okay? It's not a hope. It's a no. I know, and I know what we have to do. And it's about us, and it's about humanity, and it's about rewilding ourselves. So I would, the gift of nature to people is what is needed. The gift of nature for people to realize and to communicate and to know that it's been here an awful lot longer than us. Mm-hmm. Things are changing, whether we like it or not. Things are changing, and we need to be ready for that change. Yeah, climate change is happening, floods, food shortages, this way of life. Learn to love it, you know, step outside, don't use your car so much, you don't need it. You know, the world is going to change very suddenly, I think, and it would be nice if people kept their center, kept their love, kept their compassion. There are so many incredible people coming through right now. Listen to them, their power, feel them. Do not feel guilt, do not go into the negative. Embrace them, embrace their ideas, their fire. They know things, they feel things, and they're going to do things. And the worst thing we can do is try and stop them, even if we think we're doing it out of love or the best thing. Take our fears aside, and yeah, it's a knowing, it's not a hope. I know because I can see and I can feel, and the people that are coming through are exceptional. So yeah, just let it happen, let it wash over you. There are beautiful things happening and that are going to happen, and just be ready to accept and to bring in the love because it's coming. Along with the chaos and everything else, there's going to be an awful lot of things, so we've just got to be present. Sorry, I went on one. What was the other question?
Well, I mean, no, you didn't go on when Indra, you channeled your force then, because I could feel it through all my energy of my entire body. Yeah, I really totally feel you, and yeah, and I feel the same way. It's less of a hope and more of a trust and a knowing, and you know, it really is us as individuals, you know, in our voices, in our actions, in our stories, in our love, in our courage, in, you know, I have nothing for myself. I feel nothing but trust that we can change the world and we can make a difference, even in light of these times that we're in that can be terrifying and very uncertain. And you know, for me, it's, you know, it's the action and the story that we make for ourselves, the story we write for ourselves. Yeah. So
there was one thing. So I saw somebody wrote it, and I can't remember what her name was. Sorry, Dorothy maybe. And she wrote it, and it was beautiful, and it was about all critters. It was a message to all critters, and it was to stay in the now. It's like, don't act for a future, to stop a dystopian future, or to want or to hope for a better future, you know, or to look at the past and go, right, we've got to do this because that happened. And it was all about staying present. And it was like, what we do, and this is when you said about your typical day, actually it's about just putting one foot in front of the other and hope you're doing the right thing. So it's so much about actually now and doing now and being ready for now. It's like I could plan something that would be absolutely beautiful, you know, brilliant, strategic, something to walk through this door, and I would have to deal with it. And that is the beauty of activism, is literally you are making this space a safe, functional space for now and for whatever walks in. And it's about, yeah, it's not worrying about the future. It's creating it for now. It's almost like a pushing in each step, you know. It's like making it firm but without leaving a footprint, something like that.
That's absolutely beautiful, Indra. More power to you, sister. Really, really respect you so much. I'm just moving in to see if we've had any questions that have come through, because tech support will probably be itching because we're supposed to do it at 8 o'clock. Okay, so from Luciana, she was wondering, what have you put in place for yourself so you don't burn out, even when your passion must be pulling you to continue?
Thank you, Luciana. Yes, I did burn out. I've probably burnt out many times and for long periods of time. So after the first road campaign and also lots of personal stuff that happened, the Eco Dharma in, there were many places, Eco Dharma in Spain, Barcelona, set up this place. You go, I went there 2 weeks basically, and it's like how to work with burnout. They are Dharma, they're Buddhists. I call them anarcho-Buddhists. They're beautiful, and they helped me to center and for me to work on it. I basically went up a mountain and cried for 2 weeks is what I did, actually, with no coffee. And I couldn't do the yoga, but you know, it was exceptional. And it's personal work, basically. It's doing the personal work. The beauty of this work is that you're working towards something outside of yourself, outside of your own needs, outside of your own ego, whatever, working for something else. And that helps. Just being older and just seeing so many people burn out. The generation of the people from the 90s and the road protest, there was so much burnout. We never used the word burnout. We took it like it's like a medal, you know. Cool, you haven't done enough if you haven't burnt out. Yeah, it wasn't funny after a while. You know, in all seriousness, I think I counted up to about 9 people who weren't on this planet anymore, just from one road campaign, the Salisbury Hill. And you're either physically broken, or you go back to the family and to the life and to, you know, they're all doing beautiful things. The ones that are still here, all still amazing human beings, but they just could not face this, you know, to come in again. There's only like maybe 3 people from the old days at the Hs2. Yeah, how do I stop burnout? I have 2 beautiful daughters, you know, who just keep me going, keep me fun, and just the love, just keep feeling the love and not taking things personally, moving through the, you know, the trauma and facing it here and now. Something comes to you, deal with it, you know, whether it's somebody comes up and they say something that's upsetting, deal with it, get it off, get it out, you know. It's kind of a quantum thing. I've just learnt that we're not here, and when I say not here to make friends, I mean not here to like please people. We're here to be authentic. We're here to be ourselves and just kind of push through it, really. I do burn out. I burn out a lot. I have a lot of support. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I now recognize the signs of burnout. I actually went back up that mountain and did their course in how to help facilitate the non-burnout thing. So yeah, it's a really tough one because there's so many ways you can burn out: mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. But like I say, love. I love this. I love this so much. And if you're doing something that is your passion, then
yeah, love and support is the resounding message, and that is why it is so important that people like Indra are on these camps supporting the activists. And yeah, I guess that is a powerful message for anyone back home listening as well. Is, you know, if you're feeling burnt out in any way in any of the work that you're doing, please do reach out for support in whatever way you can. Let me just have another look at see what else. Yeah, should we play this other video for you, Indra? We have a second video.
We do. It was, yeah, absolutely. It's a nice one to it explains more about the campaign. It's got nice we've got time for it, yes?
I think so, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so this little clip was put together by Eco Hustler, and they were the first people that kind of came with big fancy cameras and wanted to put something together. So this is from our first camp, and it shows that some of the beauty of the people as well. So yeah, enjoy.
So when I wake up in the morning in my hammock, it's at the crack of dawn to the sound of wildlife, beautiful birds song, and the sunlight sort of kissing my face. So it's just a beautiful way to wake up. I'd much rather have that than any phone alarm.
We've got a beautiful camp set up here. It's really people's home, and we're facing an imminent eviction, could happen any day.
I've come here today to see what's going on with Hs2 and to see the people that are standing here and fighting for our right to keep our trees and our land.
This is a front line on this planet that is in serious need of people to wake up and protect it and to change, and there is no going back.
Around here we do know that we have at least 2,400 species, which is just way beyond anything else in London. It really makes this London's Amazon. It makes it part of the UK's Amazon, for goodness sake. 120 species of birds that nest here, and another 60 that overwinter here. I'm like, the biodiversity here is just absolutely fabulous.
So when we do this action, we are going to hop over the fence with a ladder, run hopefully past the security, and we'll de-lock ourselves to the railing which is around the top of the cabin.
I grew up in the city. I did not have that much wildlife around me, and it's just been a life-changing experience just being here. And I would really encourage more people to come and just feel what it's like. Just take deep breaths when you're in the forest and feel really, really connected to everything.
I've lived in Kenilworth since about 1976. Behind this fence was a great section of crackly woods. And now it's just like well, to put it crudely, like the Gobi Desert. What's happened here is absolutely disgraceful. It's just obscene. It beggars belief sometimes. You get tangled up with words sometimes over it. You know, you get emotional.
I think it's important to come here to show solidarity in what you believe in. You've just sort of got to live the life you believe in. Otherwise, the world will change around you, and not for the better, just for those who have the power or authority to change it in ways that benefit them.
The place I live may not stand tomorrow. If we're running out of time, I'd like to stop and stay a while. When the others come, and the earth is done. and we are left alone to kick ourselves for not saving our home.
Everybody has a stake in this. This is for everybody's future. This is for our children's, all our children's future, all our grandchildren's future. We've got to do it.
Yes, there's some very beautiful people that I recognise there from being on camp myself, and yeah, bless them all so much. And yeah, it really is not just for us, but for our future generations, And yeah, beautiful, beautiful film. Thank you for sharing that, Indra.
No, I'm glad we had time for it. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we also potentially have time for one more question that's appeared into the chat as well. So what would you say to parents and or children to empower them to create change, and why, and what do you believe the best thing they can do is to start?
It's nice that it was phrased as in parents and children.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, there are young people whose family have kind of come in as well because of it. It's mostly started by the children, then the families come in. Visit a local. So on top of HS2 and Stonehenge tunnel, there are many projects up and down the country that are being proposed. These are all government, these are roads, new roads. Now, whatever you think of roads just create more traffic. It's always been the case. They're not doing it to the new roads. So basically find out a local camp near you, support it in any way. I mean, there's people that bring cake, there's people that have access to water, there's people that just go and have cups of tea and a conversation. There will be one near you. There will be one coming. There's going to be all the way from now Birmingham to Manchester, I think, going up that way. Yeah, adopt a camp and trust that your young people know that that actually getting a bit more wild is fine, and that being arrested is, you don't lose anything really, and to just take courage in these times, and just to know that this is the way we're going, and the sooner they get doused with with our antibodies, if you like, and the learnings, yeah, the better life I think that people will have. So yeah, adopt a camp, trust, come and see. Yeah, don't feel you have to for it to be your entire life unless you want it to be. This is my life because I love it. This is my life because actually I'm quite good at it. And this is my life because I've watched some amazing people. When I was 20, 21, I watched the best people in the world. I was so lucky to have that start in life. And I remember it so strongly that this is what I'm trying to, the continuum. A lot of them aren't here, can't do this. I can. This is what I am trying to pass on, is all the incredible stuff I had and witnessed and saw, and felt. So yeah, that's the same for them. For the young people coming in, they'd be like me, only they're a lot smarter and sharper and, and shiny. But yeah, yeah, they're formidable, absolutely formidable, and nurture them, or be terrified and just let them go anyway.
Yes, because your mum was actually an activist as well, wasn't she, Indra?
Yeah, she was. So she was the first one. No, sorry, what I'm talking about. She was at Twyford Down, and it was her that told me about it. She was like, I was in kind of environmentalist most of my life, talking about stuff, and she just used to phone me up. I lived in France at the time, in Brittany with my daughter. I left because it was just everything was too depressing. With the state of the world, I went up and hid. and she said there's people standing in front of machines to stop the land being destroyed, and something just absolutely propelled me back home and got me there. You know, she was, yeah, my mother, yeah, she's always been open-minded. I was lucky in that way. I mean, yeah, a little bit too loose, but I'm not dead. And then yeah, funnily enough, actually fracking. So she was at Balcombe because she lives quite close in Sussex. That was her neighbourhood thing. So when fracking came, I think she was actually the first one in front of a lorry at camp. So yes, we have 3 generations of adrenaline junkies.
3 generations of powerhouse, incredible, inspiring women, you know, fighting a very beautiful cause, Indra. Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for giving us your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to listen to you, and you give me goosebumps, and I really hope that you've been giving other people goosebumps, because you know it's the goosebumps, it's the passion, it's the need, it's the everything, it's the drive. You know, it's that this is what creates a brilliant activist, and activists are so needed. And I'm not in the country at the moment, but if I was, I'd be joining you, and I really hope that other people that are inspired by what you do can come and join you. You said it's 18th, the next event, open celebration at the Stonehenge, right?
Yes, so basically some solstice, they are actually opening the stones. We are going to have an open camp from the 18th. We'll be having Skillshares here. We're also preparing, what I didn't say, sorry, is there is actually a judicial inquiry. So a huge, loads of environmental impact archaeology, the Druids, everyone's put together these legal stuff, and the legal battle. It'll be on the judges' table from the 22nd to the 25th. Now, judicial inquiries never usually work, okay? This one, actually, meh. But anyway, it doesn't matter how crazy a project is, if the government want it, it will happen. Anyway, so we'll know from the 22nd. So from the 18th, we're going to hold an open camp, and we are going to be ready, whether it's to drop other camps, to build resistance, to go up trees, to you know, help people to come and see how they would like to do this. But we will start preparing. Well, we're preparing for resistance here. Yeah, and it's going to be huge, the resistance. It's going to be up there. It's going to shine a light around the world, because this is like a first and last stand.
Okay, so yeah, so that's the 18th at Stonehenge camp, if anyone was interested in physically joining. And also in the chat link, we've included a link to the GoFundMe. If you are unable to make it in person, then you can support Indra and the Stonehenge Heritage Action Camp by clicking on the link and making a donation. I'm sure whatever you can offer is really, really needed and appreciated. So yeah, we've just about run out of time. So it's been, as I said, absolutely beautiful talking to you, Indra, and I send all of my love and my blessings to all of you courageous warrior activists, and yeah, thank you for protecting the sacred, and in all that you do. And yeah, just to finish off, so we at the Fellowship of the Trees, we're very much about working on our inner landscapes as well as wanting to work on our outer landscapes. And you know, a lot of the time, well, I believe in life, you know, what we think about, what we visualize, we can also manifest. So for anyone watching in the Zoom or on the live stream, if you feel guided, I'd like you to just join me into just dropping into a 1 or 2 minute visualization, where we can just visualize a bit of protective light and love over the activists, over Stonehenge camp, over all of the HS2 camps dotted around the country. And yeah, so just if you just close your eyes. And take a couple of deep breaths. Breathing into your heart space. And then, just as I said, just visualizing that incredible monument, Stonehenge. Visualizing camps of courageous activists. And whatever protective symbol or imagery that resonates with you. For me, it's a white globe sphere of protective light. So just visualizing that around this sacred site. And also visualizing the beautiful ancient woodland, the incredible elder trees with stories to tell way beyond our birth, our own lifetimes. Also visualizing them, any protective symbol, imagery, thoughts, blessings, sending them our love and support and our blessings of protection. And just breathing into your heart once more. And breathing out. Coming back into the room. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Indra, and thank you everyone that's watching. You can follow us at Fellowship of the Trees Facebook page. You'll also be able to find links to donate to our organisation as well. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you at the next episode of Nature Talks. Bless you, Indra. I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.